Nigeria's inflation soars to 26.72% for September, says National Bureau of Statistics. International Monetary Fund encourages Nigeria to harness migration to boost remittances. Oil prices ease as investors assess impact of Israel-Hamas war. Asia markets deep as investors look ahead to China GDP, Japan inflation data. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I'm Musa Abubakar, your guide. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. Nigeria's headline inflation rate on a year-on-year basis increased to 26.72% in September 2023, relative to the August 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 25.80%. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the September 2023 headline inflation rate showed an increase of 0.92% points when compared to the August 2023 headline inflation rate. Similarly, on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 5.94% points higher compared to the rate recorded in September 2022, which was 20.77%. The increase in the headline inflation for September 2023 was attributed to the increase in some items in the basket of goods and services at the divisional level. These increases were observed in food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuel, clothing and footwear, transportation, furnishings and household equipment, as well as maintenance, education and health. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in and inaugurated 3 more ministers into the Federal Executive Council. The new ministers include Balarabe Abbas Lawal from Kaduna State, Jamila Biu Ibrahim from Kwara State, who will serve as Minister of Youth Development, and Ayodele Olawande from Ondo, who will serve as a Minister of State for Youth. The nominees whose names were submitted in a supplementary list were screened and approved by the Senate about 2 weeks ago. The new minister representing Kaduna State, Balarabe Abbas Lawal, was nominated by President Bola Tinubu as a replacement for former Governor Nasir El-Rufai, whose nomination was not approved by the National Assembly. This addition brings the number of the ministers in the cabinet to 48. Nigeria's reform efforts have been globally acknowledged and applauded as capable of putting the country on the path to economic recovery. Minister of Finance and Coordinator Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, confirmed this in Marrakech, Morocco, while briefing journalists on the outcome of Nigeria's participation at the 2023 annual meetings of the World Bank and IMF.
To emphasize the overall need for support from the private sector around the world, because no matter how much you try and raise domestically, and no matter how much multilateral institutions are able to give, it is a drop in the ocean compared to if you can attract foreign direct investment.
The Director of African Department at the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Abebe Amuro Selassie, has suggested that Nigeria can leverage the current phenomenon of brain drain to its advantage. Selassie emphasized the importance of making the Nigerian economy attractive and robust, and noted that the focus of reforms should not only be on attracting foreign businesses, but also on creating an environment where Nigerian citizens can thrive and reach their full potential. Speaking at the Regional Economic Outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa, the just concluded World Bank IMF annual meetings of Morocco, he says it's making sure that economies are as attractive and as robust as possible. Nigeria's ambassador to Turkey, Ismail Abba Yusuf, has assured prospective investors of the present administration's commitment to ease of doing business and return on investment, as he urges them not to miss the opportunity of investing in Nigeria at this time. This was at the Nigerian Investment Forum at the just concluded For Turkey Africa Business and Economic Forum in Istanbul. Benny Adams has the report.
Strengthening economic ties and cultivating robust partnerships between Turkey and Nigeria with the shared objectives of fostering trade, development and mutual growth is the reason for this gathering.
They and the Nigerian Embassy.
And seated here are visionary entrepreneurs, business leaders and industry experts from Turkey and across Africa together in a bid to unlock countless potential trapped in the region. With 70 Chamber of Commerce under NASIMA, the private sector in a warm handshake with the public sector are selling Nigeria to the world.
Agriculture and everything Nigeria is an opportunity, I'll tell you. If you solve any problem in Africa, you make money. It's still a place where you need investment in almost every sector you can imagine. And there are willing business partners to take you there.
The train is taking off. You must take the train now. If you are not in Nigeria, you are not in Africa. This is simple truth.
The government at the official level are doing everything possible to remove obstacles to trade, to enhance people-to-people contact between the two countries so that both sides can have mutually beneficial prosperity, peace and security.
They are interested in boosting Nigeria's $4.2 million creative sector in addition to mining, energy, textile and furniture, agriculture and the blue economy, alongside oil, gas, hospitality and tourism. And they all agree that if one is not doing business in Nigeria, then one is not yet in Africa.
And to talk more on investment and foreign direct investment into the country, I have with me in the studio President Nigeria Turkey Business Council and also President of NASIMA, Dele Oye. Also joining us virtually is Nigeria's ambassador to Turkey, Ismail Abba Yusuf. You're both welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start with Mr. Oye. Let's start with the volume of trade in Nigeria between between Turkey and Nigeria. Nigeria have about $800 million of both. I mean, the trade figure between both countries is 2.5 billion US dollars, and Nigeria has somehow about $800 million out of that. And does that reflect the true picture of the relationship between Turkey and Nigeria?
Well, from the private sector perspective, I don't think it reflects, because a lot of our goods, a lot of informal trade between Nigeria and Turkey. In fact, most of the goods are normally transshipped either through Dubai or Beirut because of labeling and other English language issue to local compliance. So at the time you add all that to the several informal trade between our both countries, I think the figures should be around $5 to $6 billion.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me come to let me go to Abba Yusuf. Can you tell us about the Nigeria-Turkey business ties and how difficult or easy it is selling Nigeria to the world as Nigeria's representative outside there?
Well, thank you very much. Selling Nigeria to the world, I believe, is very, very simple. In the case of Turkey, the efforts by government on both sides to emplace mechanisms for enhanced trade has been yielding results in the last 24 months. Both sides have signed agreements on mutual protection of investments, avoidance of double taxation, and then of course both sides have agreed on the preeminent position of the private sector in ensuring growth and sustainable development between the two countries. That is why both sides agreed to emplace the Nigeria-Turkey Business Council, which is co-chaired by the President of NASIMA in Nigeria and then of course the President of DEIC here in Turkey. And it's been instrumental to the volume of trade going on between the two countries, like ably enumerated by the President of NASIMA. However, in the course of the last 12 months, there has been some impediments to trade which both sides have identified and are finding solutions. One of the key impediments to trade that has happened has been as a result of force majeures like the earthquake in Turkey, the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted supply chain globally, is also an issue up till now. But both sides are working assiduously with the private sector to lift some of these impediments to increase trade.
Okay, Mr. Oye, you are the head of the largest trade and business group in the country, NASIMA, which has about 70 chambers of commerce. With this organized structure, why is it that Nigeria keeps following from behind in terms of volume of trade to all her business partners?
Well, you know, essentially in Nigeria, our primary product is the oil and gas. And I'm quite happy that Turkey is also taking interest in LNG. I think over time, Turkey is a slightly more industrialized country than Nigeria, where most of your exports are primary products. It becomes difficult from the pricing mechanism and ability to meet requirements. Take, for example, the issue of some agricultural products like sesame seeds. The demand, we have been unable to satisfy what Turkey wants. So, but if it was an industrial good, it's a different thing. So, I think over time, with the rate we are going, if we are able to add some value addition to some of our primary products, I think the balance of trade will naturally be in our favor in the long term.
Okay, are we taking advantage of this opportunity as much as we should? I mean, in Turkey, Mr. Way?
Yeah, because in fact, apart from the TABEF we went for, I also took the opportunity to pay Kosiko on top, which is the local body, just like NASIMA, the apex body. And they are ready to trade. In fact, they were mentioning some of their members already on ground. And I think the government should take advantage of this opportunity, because one of the easiest ways you can actually form this partnership is to have the private sector to private sector more engagements. Because the government is just like the priest in every marriage. If the priest shows off in the bedroom, that means the marriage has problem. So what I would suggest is there should be more facilitation, there should be more private sector to private sector involvement. And from the commitments we've gotten on this trade mission, I'm very sure there will be a lot of foreign direct investment out of Turkey, because the message is getting clearer, and they already know we are the largest economy in Africa. So we've already told them, if you are not in Nigeria, you are not in Africa. And there's a lot of inquiries, and they've actually asked us to send a list of our members and what their requirements are. So I think there's bound to be an upswing in activities very soon. And we're actually compiling our list now so that we can give to the local Turkey investors, so that they can see which form of partnership they can easily go into. So that as soon as the figure starts rolling, I'm sure we will be ending on a better note for the year in the trade between Nigeria and Turkey.
Okay, Abu Yusuf, I understand that the trade between Nigeria and Turkey is mostly agric raw materials and basically oil and gas from Nigeria, more of goods and services from Turkey. Any new grounds?
Yes, before I answer your question, I want to set some records straight. Before the disruption in supply chain, the trade volume between Nigeria, the balance of trade between the two countries was actually in favor of Nigeria. So as far as Turkey is concerned, we're not lagging behind them. So we were at an advantage. We had more of our products coming here. It doesn't matter whether it was crude oil and gas. The most important thing is that we're exporting to them, and our balance of trade was in our favor. Having said that, yes, we have made it clear to our Turkish partners in the last 24 months that Nigeria will not be a market for the dumping of products, and that we will prefer a relationship where Turkish companies invest in Nigeria in terms of creating jobs rather than taking away jobs. And they understood our position. As we stand, there are a lot of Turkish companies lined up, manufacturing companies lined up, commenced the processes for establishing in Nigeria. One of such is a foremost Turkish defense manufacturer, Turkish Aerospace. They are now in the process of establishing an assembly plant for combat aircrafts and arsenals in Nigeria for the African market. Additionally, we have people also who want to manufacture all kinds of products in Nigeria. There are those also who want to establish a logistics base in Nigeria. So we've broken new grounds into the defense sector. We've taken we've gotten access into the Turkish defense sector, which has led to large-scale procurements of military equipment for the fight against insurgency in Nigeria. And it's work in progress, but we are no longer in the traditional areas of business as usual. We've broken new grounds. We're happy. The Turkish partners are also happy.
Okay. Well, besides you talked about military equipment and things like that, but besides that, how well positioned are we to take other advantages when it comes to non-oil exports?
Non-oil export, for example, recently there was an importation from Nigeria of sesame, which I'm aware of, to the tune of 5 billion naira from various sources in Yobe State, Kano and all that, from farmers. I know that that deal was done between. So the agricultural sector, a lot of things we manufacture. Gum Arabic is required here for pharmaceutical products. It's required for soft drinks and other things. So it's also something they've been trying to get from Nigeria. A lot is going on. And like my brother, Chief Dele, said, the informal sector is not captured. So that is also the reason we do not have exact data on the volume of trade. But since we're interacting with everybody in the private sector and at the governmental level, we know exactly what is going on, and we are also trying to place a mechanism where we can capture this in real data so that we know what we're doing here. So the agricultural sector from Nigeria is also making an inroad. The mining sector is also another area that people are lined up to go and invest in Nigeria. They have heavy machineries. There are others who also want to invest in the energy sector. They know that Nigeria is developing very rapidly with a rapid growing population and the need for all-round infrastructure and all that, the need for energy, alternative energy in view of global warming. So they're lined up. They want to go set up a manufacturing facility for production of solar panels and lithium batteries and all that. So the process is on.
Okay, thank you. How is the private sector taking advantage of government support with this new administration prioritizing the need for accessible capital for businesses? Just briefly.
Well, I can see this is the private sector is quite happy that it's a lot easier explaining to the current government about the needs of ease of doing business. The issue of long-term capital is still a challenge, and we've already told them and we're still advising them to ensure that they fund most of our development banks so that we can actually have long-term finance. Because the issue of finance determines whether you are working at subsistence level or at commercial level. And if we tend to take advantage of the several encouraging information coming about the new interest in Nigeria, you need to have local finance and also possibly at single-digit level so that we can be able to compete with our colleagues who are coming from other countries who are getting finance at single-digit level. Because without adequate finance, most of all the things we are saying will be difficult to realize, especially in the short term. So government need to capitalize the banks, the Bank of Industry, you need to put more money in Bank of Agric, infrastructure, all the development and long-term finance. That is still the biggest problem we have in Nigeria. And I think if that is resolved, most of these gains can easily be captured, even in the medium to short-term time. But when the capital is not there, it's very difficult for people to remove capital out of their existing overstretched commitments to start new ventures. But like I've said, people are happy that we have a new government that is private sector, someone with private sector background led. And I think we should utilize the opportunity to really develop that sector and enhance the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador to Turkey, Ismail Abba Yusuf, as well as the President Nasima, as well as Nigeria Turkey Business Council Dele Oye. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now next is a summary on how the stock fared last week, as put together by Olayinka Ojo.
The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 1.12% to close trading on the floor of the exchange last week at 67,200.69 basis points and 36.920 trillion naira. A total turnover of 1.470 billion shares, worth 24.431 billion naira in 29,683 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 929.631 million shares valued at 12.948 billion naira traded in 13,626 deals. The healthcare industry followed with 171.236 million shares worth 334.792 million naira in 452 deals. The third place was the oil and gas industry with a turnover of 90.156 million shares worth 5.099 billion naira in 2,769 deals. In the bond market, a total of 52,703 units valued at 54.688 million naira were traded last week in 32 deals. Trading in the top three equities were Access Holdings PLC, Nemet International Pharmaceutical PLC, and Fidelity Bank PLC. On summary of price changes, 38 equities appreciated in price during the week, 33 equities depreciated in price, while 86 equities remained unchanged. Olayinka Ojo for Business Express.
Now, the equities market began first weekday of trading on a bearish note with an all-share index of 67,037.93 basis point. Market capitalization, 260 million volume of shares value at 3.551 billion naira. Exchange hands in 5,965 deals. Market capitalization at the end of the trading for the day stood at 36.8 trillion naira. Well, Boss today is standing by with report on updates on global markets.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hello, and welcome to the global market review for the first trading day of the week. Asia market started the week on soft footing with stocks in Tokyo leading declines as investors looked ahead to key economic data from China and Japan this week. Japan's Nikkei 225 closed 2.03% lower at 31,000. 659.03. The Shanghai Composite dipped 0.46% at 3,773.81, and the Hang Seng Index also dipped 0.97% across 17,640.36. Most markets in Africa also didn't thrive as much on Monday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 14 appreciated 0.2% across 67,285.63, while Tunisia, Namibia, and Ghana depreciated. European markets were mixed as investors accessed the turmoil in the Middle East. DAX, FTSE, and CAC were dominated by the bulls, signaling positive start for the week. U.S. Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures rose Monday to start a busy week for corporate earnings. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average topped 0.12% at 33,670.29, while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite depreciated. That's the Global Markets Review. I am Bosede Ebo.
Well, thank you, Bosede. Well, Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. Enjoy the rest of your day.